understanding, seeing what he was dealing with, I would have stayed in the community way back when, if I knew what I knew some years ago, or understood it. But it wasn't meant to be. It was meant to be what happened. You know, mashallah, what happened was supposed to happen. Okay, but now the movement is different. Now, if you take the immigrant, let's take two of the groups. Let's take ICNA and ISNA. They both collaborate a lot. And then MAS, some of the. Okay. All of those used to be 100% anti-Imam Musa. I don't feel the anti as much. When we go to some places like out there at Adams, those are traditional anti, they don't want nothing. Okay, but there are others. Those are the representatives of the group, but those are not the representatives of the people in the group. You see, like when we go places, people will give you the nod. Okay, that's fine. They don't want to sit and hold your hand or nothing like that. They don't want no pictures taken with you smiling at nobody. They just, and then they go on about their business. That level of people will increase because remember, we're designing our program to reach out to them. The first stage is, okay, you see where we're coming from? Our flowers will represent it like that. Don't you worry, you just relax and take it easy, and you help us. That's the first stage. Maybe the rest of this year, let's say that's like that. Okay. But as we get structured, then we have to turn around and say, okay, we got this thing set up here. Now we'll encourage. The language that's used will be determined by the level where they are. The level where they are. So we won't mislead them, but we don't want to coddle them too much at a certain time. You know what I mean? Like, you know what this says. Right? I mean, you know, you speak the language, you know what this means. All right, so let's cut the stuff, and that'll get a certain amount, but they will have already been prepared through program after program, and we will have shown them that you don't have to be afraid. So this thing is evolutionary. So say by this time we may have got 10 or 15% of those people. Allah knows best. Right. Now, in 5 years, we may have 20 or 30% because of the structured organization. And remember, the implementation, if they would have, we have to consider the people, the environment. Example, the discussions that we have all the time, year in and year out, if they would have done that, the government would not have given them a chance to build all these multi-million-dollar masajid around the country. They wouldn't have, because soon as it wasn't, number one, they were happy to be here. That's the first thing you got to realize. Very, very happy to be here. Okay. Number two is the ability to learn your environment. And I had a talk with, what's her name out there in the same place we was. We have to do like Martin Luther King. And he had a dream, the American dream, I said, man, you don't know what you're talking about. This is what I told the big Imam out there. I said, have you ever heard of my dream, American dream, in response to an American nightmare? Have you ever heard that I mentioned, you ever heard Riverside Church in 1967 and 68? What he said about America? I have not heard that. I said, that's why you're running your mouth talking about your dream. They're giving you a 1963 dream, not a 67 or 68 dream. Right? He had turned all the way around. Hold it, this here. Hey, he sounded like Martin Luther X. Didn't he? Tell the truth. And it's clear and concise with the historical perspective. So that's why they had to get rid of Malcolm X and had to get rid of King, because King, first of all, he come out with Vietnam and all the Negroes run off. Tell the truth. Them Negroes, his cabinet or whatever they were, them Negroes was gone. Boss man, who's their first consideration? Boss man. President Johnson been good to us. With his Texas self. Right. Anyway, so for your question, hikmah means the ability to put things in its proper order. So we done did plenty of rebel rousing. We done did all of that. Now we have to use expertise, in what we're doing. And sometimes we throw a few punches just to get people to make stuff. Like what happened out there was perfect. And that was perfect. But all of that, remember what we're doing, the first couple of months is just warming up. It's a trial. It ain't trying to get in shape. It's just getting back out there. Once you've been in shape, you can work hard for a month and be in shape back to where you was, or you could take it easy, at an older human pace. And that's what we've been doing on all these programs. That's why if we want to get around, we'll get around. If it's snowing outside, we may say, standing outside in the snow. We got another day, right? So you got time to do everything. This is the point. The people made statements out there about us, and we got them on the thing. And whenever we want to pop them out and show them, it'll get the point across. It's not like a bribe, but after all, y'all did say that, And then we're talking to the police and said, this is police. Somebody didn't call them. And these are police that if you make a bad move, they will shoot you. They will kill you. And they, inside, we said stuff like that. They called them on us. So that's why we just messing around at first. I'm not saying we know what we're doing, but in a way we do. And when we kick in full-fledged, we look at continuing in February, Black History Month, with heavy Islamic connotations. And the longer we go, the heavier the Islamic connotations will be. Because we have to show people look, if you go to one place, all the Negroes in D.C., I would say 85% of them, could be 90, are these short pants wearing people. And they don't want to hear nothing about what happened in Libya, what Saudi Arabia is doing, right? Hezbollah is murderers and Shias, right? And everybody in Yemen, they shouldn't be fighting against Saudi. Not that they shouldn't be getting killed by Saudi Arabia and mercenaries, but they looking at like they should quit doing what they doing, right? Okay. So we got everything, on our plate. We have to serve it according to the best time to serve it. That's the best way we can put it. I like where we are. Actually, I'm proud of where we are. We pulled off we didn't pull off a bigger deal than all those stuff they beat about the '60s and all of that. That's not as serious as this. We didn't pull it off. We didn't box with boss man toe to toe for decades, and we're still here. We didn't box with the Zionists toe to toe, and we're still here. We've been put a stranglehold on us by the majority of Muslims around the world. I don't know what that sounds like, but it sounds like that most of the Muslims seem to be in a different camp. And our friends that are not in a different camp, they're surrounded by the police. I was telling the guy from Iran just the other day, I was telling him that I know all the stuff, because he just came back from there not long ago. But see, if you knew, I give talks and lectures, if you knew how they were, I said, hell, I know how they are. And they've been like that. It's not new. They've been like that. I said, but you're taking the position that boss man take. Boss man and the other reporters, scholars, informants, and everything, they go to Iran and they get in. The cab driver is telling them how he feels. This government is crazy, and this is going on, and that's the way. But see, then the guy comes back and tells the government here, and they make a plan according to what their reports say. They've been saying that all along. Anybody that know Iranians know they're complainers. They never say, this is just as good as you can get. All during the war, they complained. But they sent all their best stuff up to the war front. They complain to this day, but you don't see nothing falling apart. They're complainers. I don't know what you would have to do to a Persian so they wouldn't complain, but they're gonna complain they do that. That's what they do. But you don't never see them run off from the battlefield. You don't see, right? They send their best stuff up to, and they're infiltrated with wheelbarrow full of tattletales and snitches. They call them nafuzi, Jariyan nafuzi. Those are snitches that are professional. They're not just a haphazard tattletale that just got a little haphazard program. No, Jariyan nafuzi are the ones that they have a specific policy. And they're in Iran, not by the thousands, but by the millions. And it's rolling right along. See, they don't understand that people, when they went to the Jeppa war in 80 to 88, that purified, I'll close with this. When I was there during the period of the war, I would look at a lot of the parents' faces. Well, the fathers, because I ain't going to look at the mother's face, but I'll be looking at, and they have martyrs programs. They have, if somebody was killed on the 40th day, they have on the 1 year anniversary. They have those all the time. So you always charged up. So I noticed something, and I think I noticed it when I was in Isfahan. Isfahan is known as the city of the martyrs. One of my best friends from the University of Kansas, he was one of the student leaders, and when they went back, they had me come all the way around Iran over and over again. So anyway, I started looking at the fathers. Wherever I went to a martyrs program, I would look mainly at the fathers, and it was a peace, a type of tranquility. It looked like all the sins that they ever did was pulled away, and that's what the promise is about the martyr. The martyr rescue family members, you know what I mean? I mean, they all looked like that. They didn't have a sad, oh, my poor son got killed. No, they didn't have that. They had a clean,